Now, London Fashion Week kicks off today as a host of top and up-and-coming names descend on the capital for the 65th edition of the event. More than 5,000 guests, including buyers and journalists from more than 49 countries, are set to attend. But it's about much more than looking good. The UK fashion industry makes a direct contribution of £28 billion to the UK economy. In 2015, sales of women's wear in the UK was £27 billion, and that is set to grow by 2020. And 880,000 jobs are supported by the UK fashion industry. Well, we can speak now to Paula Knorr, a fashion designer showcasing at London Fashion Week tomorrow. Also, Martell Campbell, a designer, stylist and fashion blogger. Jenny Sutton is a development manager at Fashion Enter, which manufactures garments for the likes of ASOS at her factory in North London. Also, Natasha Perlman, editor of Grazia magazine, and also Razina Bapu, a pattern-cutting apprentice at Fashion Enter. Thank you all very much for joining us. I mean, it's so interesting, isn't it, to talk about the business of fashion and how much it is boosting the nation's coffers. I wanted to start with you, Jennifer, because you are a great example of the fashion industry and how it is working very well at the moment. Manufacturing garments in North London. For which brands?
Absolutely. We manufacture for ASOS. We do Marks and Spencer's Best of British, Finery, so that's our bulk production. But then we also do a lot of sampling and small production runs for independent brands. So new business startups, London Fashion Week designers, very high-end bespoke pieces. So it's really across the range what we manufacture.
And why are people coming to you? Because it's really interesting, because not very long ago, a lot of the manufacturing would have been happening in China, in India, countries where the production costs are much lower.
I think it's becoming much more attractive to manufacture here in Britain. There's a real topical debate over the Made in Britain flag. It's not actually that much more expensive. We're very competitive. You've got things like oil prices that are going up, the transportation costs to get over to India and China. We've got a 3-week turnaround, so it's quick, it's fast fashion. Garment technologists, buyers, retailers, they can come to our factory at any point to actually monitor their collection. So it's all about the quality and it's about the competitiveness, and we're quick and reliable. So it's very appealing.
And Natasha, how is London, how is the UK seen globally in terms of fashion?
Well, for me, it's one of the most exciting cities to be in. I think that it's, in the wider scheme of things, London is where people come to for the creativity. So people come from all over the world to see the new talent that's popping out. You look at people like Christopher Kane, who were grown in this country, who now, he was invested in by Kering, which is one of the biggest luxury firms in the world. So this is where the home is, the home talent is grown. And you look at Alexander McQueen, who came from here, and look at all the amazing new talents that are coming up, Roxanne, Erdem. These people are on an international scale, and they've come from the London fashion scene.
And how do we compare with the other big fashion capitals, New York, Milan, Paris?
Well, I think it's really interesting. I suppose Milan is the big business capital. You look at all the brands that show there, that's homes are there, Fendi, Gucci, Dolce & Gabbana, Prada. They're big mega brands that have been established for a very long time. And I think if you go to Paris, it's very, again, very established old French houses and amazing ones, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, huge names that have huge influence on a global mass scale. And you come to London, London has the Burberrys, but it also has the new names. And I think it's a real space for young talent to be found, and that's why people come to us, because we have the big names, and also because we have such a focus on creativity and on supporting the hip. Particularly at Grazia, we've done that as a weekly magazine. We can cover so many, and we've watched designers grow from their first collections into the big influencers.
And sometimes incredibly quickly. I mean, you think of someone like Erdem, he just sort of exploded, didn't he, very quickly.
And I think, but again, that's what it is in London, is that you can really find these people because we support them. The BFC is a massive supporter. Paola's had that great support from them as well this year, but I think we back and we invest in the new names as much as we back and champion the big names.
So Paola, tell us about, you're actually from Germany, aren't you? And you
Yes,
studied here, and now you're doing well very quickly because you graduated in 2015.
Yes, exactly.
You're showcasing at London Fashion Week tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. My second showcase at London Fashion Week tomorrow morning, exactly this time, basically. I did my first season in September. And yeah, it's incredible. I'm coming from Germany, and the support I got here in my studies and later from the BBC, from the from the BFC.
So the British Fashion Council.
Yes,
what
British Fashion
support
Council.
have they given you then, directly?
They have. There are tons of supporting schemes, but I'm part of New Gen. That's the run from the British Fashion Council, and they help me with a fashion show. But most important, they're also mentoring my whole growing of my business. So it's a business support, and that's really, really helpful because I studied my MA and I'm a designer, and this is what I learned. But the whole business side, I never experienced, and I didn't learn something about it. So it's really great to have their support, helping with business plans, etc.
Jennifer, how important has support been from the British Fashion Council and other initiatives in terms of helping to grow the fashion industry?
I think with us, because we're a business support organisation for young designers, we really drum that it's so important to have those technical skills behind you. Like, we see lots of very creative designers leave university, but they don't necessarily know how to pattern cut or how to construct a garment. So we've got a fashion technology academy, and we do a stitching academy. And we're noticing more and more design graduates actually coming to us to want to learn about fabrics and how to construct a garment, how to actually do pattern cutting, and in turn that will help them create a viable collection to showcase.
And then the industry, you just can see then the model, it
Absolutely.
just keeps mushrooming.
It's so important to have those manufacturing skills behind them, it really is.
So Rosina, you're one of these people developing the skills. That some of your patterns here on the desk. Tell us what it was that got you attracted into that.
What I found really interesting was that you get the practical skills as an apprentice, and I don't think you'll get those as like a university graduate, because then you'll know what to expect in the industry, and then you just know what to do.
And people might dismiss the fashion business as a bit frou-frou, you know, fashion is something that is a nicety, but I mean, we're talking here about the hard facts of it being, you know, an important business for this country, and obviously a job creator, and you're one of the people really at the sharp end of that.
Yeah, I think everyone thinks that the fashion industry is just glamorous, but they don't really know what goes behind it. It's a lot more technical, and that's what we've got here. We've got the design, which the designer just comes in with, and then they have annotations on the sketch to show where it is. And everyone thinks that it's just that and then the garment, but there's more to it. So you make samples, and then you have different stages to assess the fit.
Okay, well let's talk then about how British clothes are growing in terms of market. Martel, you're here to talk, I think, specifically about the men's fashion in this country. That's suddenly seen a lot of growth. Tell us what's happening there.
Well, it's growing really rapidly. I don't know if you noticed, there's just a lot more option for men nowadays, you know, and it's like, you know, we was talking about young designers and new designers. There's so many new and young designers coming out of the menswear scene also, and again, with the BFC supporting certain designers, you see them and they start from almost nothing, and then now they're sort of like well-established like designers.
And why do you think men's in particular is doing well here?
I think it's doing well here because, I mean, London being one of the capitals of fashion, I think there's just so much going on. There's so many cultures here, coming here and influence here. Do you know what I mean? I just think young designers in London in itself just has so much to show and so much to say, especially for like, mainly sort of like urban and streetwear designers.
And Natasha, that sort of feeds into what you were saying about the creativity of this country.
I think it's so exciting that we have that space for people to come to, and I suppose this is one of the things that has been quite hotly debated with Brexit at the moment, is that at the moment we can have everyone coming over from Europe, and like I said, many of our big London scheduled designers like Roxanda, like Erdem, like Mary Katranzi have come in from Europe and made their names here, and I think they very much consider themselves a UK, a British, a London designer.
I've got a stat here that people might find surprising, which is that the UK fashion industry, with that £28 billion direct contribution to the UK economy, is only 3.5 times smaller than the UK's construction industry.
I know.
Which is, I mean, how quickly has the fashion industry been growing here?
Well, it is the creative industry. are the fastest growing industry in the UK at the moment. I think particularly when you look at all of the developments around robots, you know, the way people talk about it a little bit, I think that creative skills are probably valued and prized more than ever before, because they are things that can't be replicated right now by technology, and you need those people. And I think that's why it's so exciting to be here and to be in the creative industries, because it is mushrooming and growing at such a rapid rate, because those skills can only come from the individual.
How quickly has your business been growing, Jennifer?
We've been established for 10 years now, but it's really been in the last 5 or 6 years that it's really grown in terms of our training and our factory, because it's so unique. We've got a live factory doing 8,000 garments a week, but alongside that we've got a training academy. So as I said before, even though creativity and the notion of being a designer is a fantastic career, people have to go back to the technical skills, and they're noticing that more and more by coming to our factory, learning stitching, pattern cutting, and also the apprenticeship programme.
And I know that you said that the costs are very competitive now with production costs in, you know, the sort of
Absolutely.
countries typically associated with much cheaper production costs. But how competitive is it? Because when people think about, you know, Brexit going forward and more manufacturing in this country, is there an equation which would necessarily mean higher prices? Because we've all got used to paying cheap prices.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's why we started a Stitching Academy, because we want, for succession planning, we want to nurture homegrown talent so people here can actually continue the stitching skills. So even with Brexit coming up, we still want to make sure that manufacturing can thrive in this country, to make sure people can stitch and they can pattern cut and they can do the cutting. But it's very, very much competitive. I mean, it just goes to show ASOS, about 70% of our production is all ASOS jersey dresses, scuba dresses. M&S do a specific made in British range where they source fabric from Leicester and they get the production done here in London. So we have retailers knocking on our door now more and more. So it does go to show it's definitely getting there. It's competitive and it's appealing to have production made in the UK, definitely.
And Paula, obviously there will be a lot of buyers and journalists at Fashion Week. For you, what could that mean for your business?
Oh, I mean, that's what it means to when you have a fashion business, you have to showcase it and you have to get the contacts to the buyers and the press. I'm really happy that I'm wholesaling now to 6 stores already, my first season.
Right.
And I'm hope to add with this season. And yeah, it's really exciting. I also have a showroom in Paris, so I'm doing 2 different things. But
as I already said, you're doing incredibly well, very quickly. I know that you don't know what it was like before because you didn't work in it before, but is there a sense that it is easier to do well more quickly these days? Have things changed?
Definitely, because the awareness, I think, of young talents with Instagram and social media just grows. You can get snatched from a editor, from a stylist, from America much more quickly. Or you you can get in contact with people much quicker and they find you. But I think that's also really special of London, because we have the big schools here and people actually go to the fashion schools shows and look at the graduates and then nurture them from the start. And this is, I think, really unique in London. So it's I think London is probably the fashion capital where it's the easiest to start and to become big quite quickly.
Martel, you will be blogging from London Fashion Week, won't you?
Yes.
Tell us what trends we should be looking out for. And where are they throwing forward to? How far ahead?
I mean, from a menswear perspective, I mean, there's a sort of more like wide silhouettes and like I think the shapes just look a bit like they're definitely looser and less tailored, but then there's still that aspect of tailoring through and through. But I mean, it's something that's always sort of like, especially nowadays, it's sort of always in and out. So you find that there's a bit of consistency, and you find that some trends actually trickle on through into the next season. If that makes sense, yeah.
Absolutely, and the old trends always are getting revived, aren't they? It's great to talk to you all. Thank you very much. Good luck with your businesses and enjoy Fashion Week.